Have you ever felt like your life was falling apart and you had absolutely no idea what to do about it? If you've lived any length of time, then you have probably dealt with some failure. You've likely dealt with total and complete overwhelm and confusion. And you've probably dealt with crises of different types. It's during these times when it's really easy to lose our way and to feel lost and to be unsure of what we're supposed to do next. These are the times when regaining clarity is super important. But the problem is, how do you figure out how to regain clarity when it feels like everything is just going to pieces around you? How do you regain clarity when your life is falling apart? Hi, if we have not met before, I'm Shelley from Taming Frenzy. When we feel like our life is falling apart, it's usually due to one of several reasons. Usually it's either family issues, relationship issues, career issues, financial issues, or possibly scheduling issues because we've just got way too much to do. And often when we feel like our life is falling apart, we have this feeling that I just don't have time to stop and try to regain clarity and to figure it out. We just think, I'm too busy. Everything else is too important and it's too urgent, and I just don't have the time to even take a minute. That's a clear signal that we can't afford not to take the time to regain our clarity and to refocus. Unfortunately, this is just often a time when we feel like one more thing we have to do, and taking time feels like one more thing we have to do, feels like that will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, or at least that breaks us. So how do you take time out when you're already overwhelmed, overcommitted, and overscheduled? The truth is, you have to start small. If this means that you can just take 5 minutes out, then fine, you take 5 minutes. In fact, there are things you can do in as little as 5 minutes to help kind of quiet the mind, to help calm the body, to help give you just a little bit of a chance to regain your equilibrium. It might mean doing something like literally stepping outside and taking a few deep breaths. It might mean going into a room and closing the blinds or closing the curtains and just laying down in a dark room for a few minutes. It might mean getting your earbuds and putting those in and just listening to some calming or soothing music for just a few minutes. Some other ideas of things you can do in just 5 minutes to kind of de-stress include maybe playing solitaire on your phone. Maybe you literally physically isolate yourself for a few minutes. And for some people, that might truly be a case of just going into the restroom and just closing the door and just sitting for a few minutes while nobody else is around. It might mean doing something to move your body. Do some stretches, go for a very short walk, and in 5 minutes you can do something to quiet your mind. It may just be as simple as closing your eyes and just kind of laying your head over for a little bit. Now obviously when things are out of control and your life feels like a total dumpster fire, 5 minutes by itself is not going to be enough to help you regain your clarity and to get back on track, but it's a start. There are several other activities and things you can do to help you kind of get back on the path that you were on and to regain your clarity. One of the things that I have found very helpful is to keep a journal. Whether you write in this once a day or every few days or several times a day, it doesn't matter. But sometimes getting those thoughts out of our head and down onto paper and, writing down our thoughts and our feelings and the things that are bothering us and the things that we're putting up with and just all that kind of muck, just getting it off down on paper, then we can go back and review. We can reread those entries. We may find that we see patterns, or we may actually be able to identify exactly what the problem is. But by getting that information from our head, through our hands, down onto paper, it helps get it out, and it helps give us a way to process it and to try and deal with it. And we usually feel better after we journal and get those feelings and frustrations out. Doing this can help us brainstorm ideas. Once we've identified the problem or have picked up on a specific pattern, then we can start thinking about, okay, how do I now solve this problem? How do I fix it? Another option to help you regain clarity is literally to slow down. And by this, I mean, take a look at your calendar. Oftentimes we look at our calendars and we find that they are just cram-packed full with too much stuff, too many events, too many appointments, too many meetings, and then we have a to-do list that may be as long as our arm, you never know, but that we literally have so much stuff in our calendar that we couldn't get it all done in a day if we tried. And when this is the case, we need to then ask ourselves some really important questions. We need to ask ourselves, do I need to do all of these tasks? Can somebody else do them? Can I do them later? Do they really need to be done at all? We need to look at our appointments and our meetings. Are they things we absolutely have to do? Are they critical? Or are they just things that we've just kind of gotten used to doing, and so we just keep them in the calendar? I'm looking at my calendar over there, and sometimes I can see that it's a little bit too crowded, and I have to go through this process myself. But when you're feeling like your life's a dumpster fire and you're stretched too thin and you don't know what to do, take a hard look at that calendar. Take a look at that list you've got of items that you need to do. Start figuring out what you can get rid of, what you could, have somebody else do, and what you can postpone and do later. Everything does not have to be done right this minute. Another good activity is to literally spend a little time alone with yourself. Now, this may mean going outside and going for a walk, not take anybody with you. It might mean getting in your car and going for a little bit of a drive. It might mean just, finding a way to have the house to yourself if you can, or going someplace else. Back when my kids were young, sometimes I found that it was a good idea to go to the public library. And I'd go to the public library in Fort Worth for a little bit and just spend a little time. Nobody bothered me. It was quiet. So that's an option. It may be that to go across the street to, someplace, or to go to the park down the block or something. But find a way that you can spend a little bit of time alone with yourself. And during this time, this is not the time to listen to podcasts or turn on the TV or read a book. This is a good time to truly do nothing except just be with yourself, and to let the thoughts and things that are in your mind and the feelings that are inside your body, just think about them. Let them roll through. Start thinking about them. And sometimes as we're doing that and we're reflecting and spending some time alone, just kind of in solitude, sometimes solutions start coming to us, or at least steps that we can take to get to a solution. So spending some time by yourself without the company of other people can be very helpful. Another thing that's helpful is to talk to someone you trust. Now, this one can be a little bit tricky because you'd want to make sure that this person you talk to totally, absolutely, no questions asked, has your back and is supportive. You need someone that you can talk to who's not going to interrupt, who's not going to try and tell you what you're doing wrong, or to tell you what your problem is, or diagnose you. You really just need someone who can listen, who can ask questions if you want them to, who can help you maybe make sense of what's going on. But the biggest quality is someone who is truly on your side, and then someone who is a really good listener to give you a chance to just vent out all of those things that have been cooped up. If you can just talk and get them out, sometimes that kind of relieves the pressure a little bit and then helps us figure out where to go from there. Now, everybody in your life, just because you know them, may not be the person you need to talk to. But this person could be that it's your spouse. It could be a best friend. It could be a friend online, someone that you know and that you trust. It may be a spiritual advisor. But having somebody that you can really talk to about whatever is cooped up and whatever's giving you trouble, whatever lit that dumpster fire, is very helpful. And then finally, when your life feels like it's just falling to pieces, identify one thing that you can control. And it doesn't have to be something big. It can be something little. But one thing that you can control in your life, and then do it. And then after you've done that one thing, pick the next one thing and do that. Now, even if they're little things, they move you a little bit so that you're not where you started, which was in the dumpster with the fire, but doing one little thing and then one more little thing moves you just a little bit further and further away from that place of chaos and confusion where it feels like everything is falling apart. And it reminds you that you're not the feather in the Forrest Gump movie at the end that just gets blown away by the winds. You are not just totally subject to the whims of fate. You're not someone that external forces are controlling everything in your life. Finding one little thing that you can control and then doing so, and then doing that again and again, helps you remember that you actually have more control over your life than you may be thinking you do or giving yourself credit for when things are just so awful in life. We all need to feel that we're in control of something, no matter how much chaos and confusion and pandemonium is going on all around us. So when your life feels like it's a total dumpster fire, when you feel like it's falling apart, when everything's just going to pieces around you, think about some of those things that you can do. Take 5 minutes to step outside the chaos, to recollect yourself, to decompress just a little bit, and then go through those other things. Time alone with yourself, someone to talk to, and most importantly, picking the little things that you can do. By making those little steps, you will find your way out of the dumpster fire and back towards clarity that you so desperately need in your life. I hope you'll stick around and watch the rest of the videos in this series on gaining clarity and gaining direction in your life. And in the meantime, let's all tame some frenzy.